right, I will call the January meeting of the Paulding County Airport Authority to order. I want to welcome each of you and wish you a happy new year. Our newest member, the new mayor, Hiram Frank Moran, has been excused today. They've had some issues in their family, and he's visiting older brothers and dealing with that first part of the year. So we will have him with us beginning next month. For our invocation, Dave, would you give our invocation, please?
Let's all pray together. Heavenly Father, it's about humbly before you this morning. Thank you for a new day. We rejoice in life and the blessings that you bestow upon us. Thank you for the opportunities to serve and to make decisions, and we would hope that those are pleasing in your sight. Pray for our country, definitely Paulding County, and for all our individual families, protection over us. Pray these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Also want to remember the family of our late former Sheriff Bruce Harris. There will be a graveside funeral today at 3 at Dallas Memory Gardens, and any in the public that wish to attend, there will be parking at First Baptist Church with a shuttle, or you can park at the Wind Building and walk the quarter-mile up to the cemetery, because there will not be enough facilities there to hold the crowd. First item of business is the approval of the minutes of the December 18th, 2019 meeting. You've received a copy of those. Did anybody note any errors or omissions?
We'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I need to abstain.
All right, we'll note that Mr. Tidmore abstains. Item 4 is the approval of financial statements. You received those as well. Anybody note any issues there or have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Airport Director's report.
Okay, the main thing I want to talk about today is I want to bring everybody up to speed on where we are with the school. As I believe everyone knows, back in the fall, we had applied to the FAA for the release of what is known as the ARF property. It's 2.9 acres right as you enter the property on the right-hand side at the base of the water tower. GDOT is the first step in that process. GDOT has reviewed the package and has recommended acceptance of that and sent it on to the FAA. On December 27th, we received a letter from the FAA back through GDOT saying that they had received the package and they have rejected the CADX, I'll talk about that in just a minute, and have directed us to do what's known as a full environmental assessment on the release of the property. So let me explain what's happening and what that means. So a CADX, a categorical exclusion, is something that we are authorized to do for certain projects at the airport where a full environmental assessment is not deemed necessary. The release of property is one of those items. So ordinarily, a CADX would be the appropriate and proper mechanism to use for environmental release in this case, to go along with the release package. However, one of the checklist items from the FAA's perspective is if an environmental controversy exists, then they have the option of directing us to do a full environmental assessment. So they have made the decision that the environmental controversy concerning the City of Atlanta's claim for 4F property on the wildlife management area, which we strongly disagree with, but that is the claim of the City of Atlanta. The FAA is saying, okay, that's an environmental controversy, so we want to see an environmental assessment. Okay, we'll do an environmental assessment. I've got it right here. It's ready for Dave and Boyd to sign. So that environmental assessment requires a public hearing. So in today's Dallas New Era, which is the legal organ of Paulding County, There will be a public notice. I've got a copy here if anybody wants to read it, or you can wait and see it when it gets published in the Dallas New Era. But it basically says that we will hold a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. In this room on February 13th. So that's 30 days from now, roughly, and meets the 30-day publication notification. I have worked with GDOT to make sure we've got all of the dates correct. We are required to allow 10 days for written comments after the close of the public hearing. And so that date will be 5 p.m. Monday, February 24th. There will be a court reporter that will be here as part of the public hearing process. So people will be able to either bring written comments, write written comments while they're here at the public hearing, or will be able to dictate public comments to the court reporter. And then we will address any and all of those issues, update the environmental assessment, and then we will submit that probably on February 25th, because I'll be working on this as comments come in. So probably on February 25th or 26th, we will submit this document back to the FAA as our final environmental assessment. And then at that point, it's back in the hands of the FAA to make the decision on the release of the property. Now, one would presume that they wouldn't ask us to do this if they were then just going to turn around and say, no, you can't release that property. So I'm going to take this as a good sign. It means to me that they've already made the unofficial determination that this property is a candidate for release. Remember when we tried to release the property on this side of the terminal building in our first request, 48 hours after we submitted the package to the FAA, they came back and turned us down. So there is no reason to think that they intend to turn us down this time. But they just want to make sure that anyone and everyone who might have a comment on the environmental release of what is a pad-ready site, I mean, that's why a CADX is normally used for this type of project. There are no trees, there's no moving water, there's no environmental special conditions, there are no endangered species on the property, that kind of thing. So a CADX should have been satisfactory, but okay, we'll do and have done the environmental assessment, and anyone will be able to download that probably by close of business today, maybe tomorrow, somewhere between today and tomorrow. That will appear on the pauldingcounty.gov website, and we've already coordinated with Will, and he's going to make sure that he gets that as soon as I hand him the document, which I will do as soon as Boyd and Dave sign it. And we're moving through this as fast as we possibly can. So from the school's side, now remember, once we release the property, we're out of it. And it becomes a Technical College System of Georgia project, and the land will be transferred to the Georgia State Real Estate Commission. But we are interested in it, and we are tracking it, and they have $2.5 million that have been made available to them. They have done their selection of their architectural firm. They're moving out with design. So the Technical College System of Georgia is operating under the assumption that this is all going to happen, and they're not waiting for the FAA to make the formal release prior to them at least doing what they're allowed to do as of today. So the project's moving forward. It's looking good. It's a complicated bureaucratic process that we just have to go through. You've got multiple federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies all involved. And it just takes time to do that coordination, but we're going to get it done. And I greatly appreciate all the help that everybody at the county has been, and GDOT has been a huge help in getting this done. So we're making progress. Anybody have any questions? Here.
Terry, what time was the February 13th?
6:30. Yeah, it'll be in the notice. It's 6:30 p.m. on February 13th. And y'all are not required to be there, but if anybody wants to come, of course, it's open to the public.
All right, any questions, Terry? Thank you, sir. FBO report, Joe Sarver.
Good morning. Long time no see for a lot of you guys. I think this is the first report we've done in many of years. Now that it's back here at the airport, I can, as long as I'm not at my other job, I'll be here. A couple updates. We'll go from 18 to 19. 2018 was our worst year in Paulding Jet Center history by a long shot. But fortunately, back in 2019, we came through and we broke records 11 out of 12 months last year to make 2019 the best year in Paulding Jet Center history. We fell short. We had a very ambitious goal of 100,000 gallons of fuel last year. We fell short of that record by about 700 gallons. So it's a fair amount of fuel. We're happy with the results. We fell short of our goal. This year we set a goal of 125,000 gallons, 25,000 gallons more than what we did last year. So we're hoping to meet that goal. As I said, records were broke every month last year but one, and I believe that was February. And then also in 2019, we became certified as a BF-22 hot fuel stop for the Ospreys. So we suspect 2020 will have a whole lot more Osprey traffic coming in and out of the airport. We have designated a hot pit where the aircraft can come in, fuel, and then go about their mission. We should have a BF-22 fueled in and out within 10 minutes, and we're talking roughly 2,000 gallons worth of fuel. So the capabilities of our fuel truck allow us to do so. This coming winter, the winter of 2020, the United States Special Operations Command Black Daggers will be using Paulding Airport as their winter training ground. So that's some really good news. Some of you may not have known, but I believe past August, September, somewhere in that time frame, they were out here for a couple days. In those couple days, they jumped out of a World War II DC-3 or C-47 for the military version. In those 2 days, they purchased roughly $2,500 worth of fuel in those 2 days. So we're talking all winter long training, a couple hours a day, so it'll be no different than the paratrooper training exercises we have going here currently. Our flight school has had 2 students successfully complete their program, one of them being Calvin Thompson's grandson Alex. Start to finish has gone through the flight school, and last week they had a second student finish the same program. They have 10 more in the program right now, so they are doing very well. Superseded the Hawk flight school, so they're doing very, very well. I'm pretty happy with that. 2020 is a busy year for Paulding Jet Center. This is, as many of you know, every other year we have to go through a recertification process through Shell. That is happening this year. In the past, I've been the only one that's gone to the school, and I've held the certificate for the fuel farm in my name. This year, we're going to try to expand that to 2. Send 2 of our employees to the same school. The fuel farm certificate will still remain in my name, but we will have a second employee that is trained through Shell to do the same thing I do. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Just curious, how far below other airports is our price per gallon?
We typically stay the lowest. West Georgia, Carrollton, we cannot compete with. They sell their fuel for cost because their money is not made on fuel. Their money is made on hangars. So they could care less what they charge for fuel. We stay below Rome. We stay below Cartersville and all the neighboring airports around us, in exception of Carrollton. And I've tried. I just can't touch their fuel. But they're selling it for cheaper than I can get it. So we continue to remain the lowest on the west side of Atlanta, in exception of that one.
Any other questions, Joe? All right, thank you. Next item is election of officers, the chair, vice chair, and board secretary. Is there a nomination for chair?
Nominate we re-elect Boyd.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now vice chair.
I nominate current Vice Chair, Mr. David Small, for that
Oh, y'all
position.
are slow on the trigger today. I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Board Secretary, you're gonna have to think a little bit on that one, because Teresa's no longer with us. Is there a motion for a Board Secretary?
Nominate Stacy. Amy.
Motion, is there a second?
That was because last
I
year
will
he-
second that.
Motion and a second. Any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
See how
Congratulations.
those things come back to you?
Yeah.
I said, you see how those things
It's
come
got me
back
on
to you?
one of that.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
There's all the signs here. Oh,
Oh, okay.
All right, the next item of business is the motion to approve the special event permit for the Aviation Career Education Academy, June 8th through the 12th, 2020. And you do have a flyer with your packet.
It's the same thing we did last year. I'll make that motion to approve that.
I'll
Have a
second
motion
that.
to approve and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say that we are excited that the FAA has decided to come back and do that again this year. This was probably the highlight last year as far as I'm concerned. It's a week-long camp for 50 high school-age kids. Most of them were local to the area here. And just what a great opportunity for kids to get exposure at that age to aviation and what aviation has to offer as careers. So I, of course, don't think there'll be any opposition to this. It's hard to be against education. But just a really exciting thing for this airport to be a part of.
Yeah, that's a positive thought there.
Do we have a limit on the number of people that can attend this?
Yes,
What's that limit?
50,
50, okay,
same limit as last year.
okay.
And we're basically limited by our facilities. So they have to come in here, and they've got workshops and all kinds of things, and 50 is about the limit of what we can handle.
All right.
I'll just echo, in fact, maybe, Mr. Chairman, Terry's sentiments on that. This was, it was incredibly successful. And I just throw it out there for anybody who has high schooler age, kids in their family, extended family, whatever. This is a big deal in the FAA's eyes. These ACE academies, they're happening all across the country. There's been some other groups that are holding some on the other side of Atlanta, which are very good. And so this is going to grow, but the opportunities, career opportunities for anything FAA related over the next 20 years are enormous. So if you have a young person that's in your family or somewhere and they're kind of on the fence or not really sure where they're going, I highly recommend this, the ACE Academy, so they can come out and see what career opportunities are out there. So I was blessed to be a part of it last year. Heavily, I want to be involved again this year for FedEx as well. So
Sign up early.
it's a great thing. Yeah, I'm already on the list. I'm on the list with Ricky.
No, I mean students. Students
no
need to
doubt.
sign up early.
It's
It'll fill up
incredible,
pretty quick.
incredible thing.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the permit?
We've already done that.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a need for closed session for litigation and real estate purposes. Is there a motion to enter executive session for those purposes?
Make a motion.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and we'll return hopefully shortly. We'll report back into regular session. Note that no action was taken in executive session. Are there any comments, questions, or other business to be brought before the board by the members? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, and we are adjourned.